The shocking truth on the Vikings draft selection has been revealed, along with everything going according to plan, as Minnesota's vision for the future becomes clearer and clearer, as stated by GM Kwesi Adofo-Mensah and head coach Kevin O'Connell on last night's first round pick. We're going to be breaking down all that in this episode of Vikings Digest, so first make sure to hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you don't miss any and all Vikings updates as we head into round 2 of the draft later tonight. And with that, let's hop straight into the first and only topic today, which is the truth behind the Donovan Jackson selection. So speaking with the media last night about the first round pick, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah just kept it very simple, saying, really excited to have made the selection we made. Donovan Jackson was someone we identified with very early on in the process as we set the vision for this offseason. We got a great player with championship pedigree. He was really talking about a lot of different things that really made Jackson stand out to Kwesi and this Vikings organization. They had a great team meeting with him when he came for a visit to the facility, and a lot of other things were just analyzing the tape, seeing what he really stands out with, what needed to happen for this offense, flowing with JJ McCarthy, loving the running game, and other things like that. He went into a bit more detail as well about not trading back, which a lot of people thought the Vikings were going to do. He said people had called, but it didn't really get heated up until right before our pick. But we had really gone through these simulation exercises with Donovan, and in these moments, we really liked the player we were happy with what we were getting. And this is now the second straight player that the Vikings have taken in the first round with a national championship under their belt and coming off of it. So this is now back-to-back ones. They did joke about the idea of him playing with JJ McCarthy because one went to Michigan, one went to Ohio State. But in his press conference, Jackson was saying that that's just something that they're just leaving in college, and now it's not going to transcend in the NFL. Now these guys are bros and teammates, and this is going to be a great bond to have, especially when you saw how he was able to transition from guard to left tackle when he didn't need to. And that was something that Kevin O'Connell really got into as far as on his side of things, saying that he was excited to get him here. Just love everything about his play style. He's got size, he's got length, he's got power. And then the little things that jump out to you about a player, willingness to just jump over at left tackle in a year where he didn't necessarily need to do that, in a year where he was going to be drafted. I think that tonight really put a stamp on a plan that we set out to accomplish. And this is just echoing everything Kwesi was saying and everything that these guys have been saying since the season ended. Even throughout the season, they were saying about some things that they knew they wanted to make sure that were fixed as far as week to week. Sadly, some of those things were not fixed over the course of the season, offensive line in particular, as well as the secondary too, with other things as well as the pass rush and things like that. So with that, Minnesota, after the Rams game as well, which Kevin O'Connell said that this draft selection was not indicative of one game. It was indicative of a bunch of other things and a bunch of other elements as to why this draft pick was what the Vikings needed for this year. And yes, they wanted to make sure they had a fully formed 5-set offensive line where you guys had dogs at every position possible. And that's what they went out and did. Kwesi has delivered on every single promise that he wanted to deliver this offseason. He said, all right, we want to fix up the interior defensive line and have some solid pass rushers. All right, let's go get Jonathan Allen, Javon Hargrave. We need to get some guys in the secondary. All right, let's extend Byron Murphy. Go get Isaiah Rodgers a champion. Let's convince Harry Smith to come back for one more ride. All right, we need to fix up the interior offensive line. We had some holes and some Swiss cheese gaps that we need to fill in, especially when we had the injuries that we had. All right, let's go out and get Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, two Pro Bowl dogs. Well, Will Fries isn't there yet, but Ryan Kelly is a Pro Bowl, and Will Fries will be a Pro Bowler in a matter of 2 to 3 seasons with Minnesota. I can guarantee you that. And then you bring in Donovan Jackson as a rookie, where like Christian Darrisaw, like Brian O'Neill, and Garrett Bradbury, who is no longer with us, this team has a history of drafting very well when it comes to offensive linemen. Matt Khalil is the one exception where that didn't exactly work out for us. His brother would have been a better option in that scenario, but the Panthers got the better end of that deal. But with Minnesota, our history of drafting offensive linemen, especially since Kwesi took over, it's been pretty good. And now we have a chance to really go out and have one of the best offensive lines in football. That's what Kwesi believes. That's what KOC believes. Now it's just a matter of translating it from paper onto the turf. And that's what they're committed to doing this season, especially when they're committing to a young quarterback, protecting JJ McCarthy, protecting anybody that would have been back there, because we saw Sam Darnold, as great of a season as he had last season, it didn't get us past the first round of the playoffs, and he was a punching bag for defenses. The holes in our offensive line, they got exposed, and unfortunately it will be to say, it isn't the benefit of JJ McCarthy to have him not be the one that went through that and be the punching bag in his rookie season coming off of an injury, or if the injury never even happened, it still would have been crappy to see that he would have just been murdered almost every single week by these defensive linemen that were just coming off the edge. And that was the big thing as well, that I love what Kevin O'Connell was saying. And that's what I really like about this pick in Donovan Jackson, is that this is a guy who he can play tackle, and a lot of the weaknesses that a lot of people were pulling from is when he was playing at the tackle position. We jumped into the strengths and weaknesses last night after he was drafted because we were going through the scouting report, and a lot of the weaknesses that they were saying where his arms are a bit robotic, he can't get extended as much. When you're playing guard, which is what he probably will be playing for the majority because he didn't have to play left tackle last year. He was just asked to do it, and he did it, and he succeeded at it and took on some of the best pass rushers in college football, and 2 of them were drafted just before him in the first round. So that goes to say something as far as the types of players that he can block. So now you move him back onto the inside. Those weaknesses that a lot of people were saying about him as far as the outside, when you're more on an island, when he's inside in the cram phone booth, as so to speak, like he was saying in his press conference, you have a bit more, not freedom in necessarily such a space, but you don't have to extend as much. And those weaknesses will turn into strengths as far as just being able to shut down the interior part of the offensive line, shut down the middle, so we can get better run blocking and better pass protection. And I think he's going to go a long way towards doing that. In Minnesota, like Kevin O'Connell was saying, they wanted to go out and get a solid 5 guys set on the offensive line, and they feel they got that now. What did you guys feel about this draft pick as well? I know last night in the comments there was a lot of people who were saying that they were really happy about it, and there was some that were a bit questionable about it on social media as well. A lot of people were very divided because we thought that we were going to be taking a cornerback or a safety. Unfortunately, that's not how the cookie crumbled, but there is still time in the second round. I know we saw Malachi Starks go to the Baltimore Ravens, which was unfortunate to see because he was just an absolute perfect fit there. But the next of round 2 will remain to be seen. And will you guys be watching on tonight, Friday night, for round 2? It's going to be an interesting night to see if any moves are made, to see what picks Minnesota maybe acquire or lose, because there's going to be some interesting things that happen here, and as well as the quarterback situation too, where Kwesi was asked too as well that, hey, with seeing only 1 quarterback or 2 quarterbacks go in the first round last night in Cam Ward and Jackson Dart, do you feel vindicated in drafting your guy last year? And he said it was nothing about being vindicated. It was just a matter of, hey, we're confident in the guy. We went out and got him. We weren't waiting around another year, and we were able to do that. With where they were at now, this is a spot where, yeah, it sucks to be picking so far back in the first round, but be picking in that spot proves that you had a good regular season the previous year, and you're looking to build upon that. So if you're able to get an absolute dog that's just an extra piece, and you've already got your quarterback set, if you're just getting these pieces where it's a guard, it's a defensive lineman, it's a corner, it's one of these underrated skill guys that can really go a long way towards fortifying your team and making sure you have depth at all positions, and making sure that whether it's a starter or a backup or just even a guy on the practice squad, they can be reliable to be plugged in at any given moment, because this is the NFL. We see guys go down left, right, and center, and it's next man up mentality all the way, and just do your job. So that's what Minnesota needs to be focused on doing, and that seems to be what they are focused on doing. Watching Donovan Jackson's press conference as well gave me a lot of hope as far as what he's going to bring to the table this season, how excited he is to get to work. It's going to be amazing to see what OTAs and minicamp and everything brings for this Minnesota Vikings season and off season. Can't wait to bring you guys all the updates that we got. We got round 2 of the draft coming up tonight, like I said, at 7 p.m. Eastern. So stay tuned for our updates for that. We're going to be bringing to you guys our second round draft pick video just as soon as it happens, or right after it happens. So stay tuned for that. Hit that bell icon so you don't miss it. But with that, I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.